Companies in today's industry are faced with a huge amount of challenges. We're talking about time to market, increase efficiency, reduce the energy consumption, and master complexity. And of course, also at the same time, picking up speed. This goes for discrete industry as well as process industries. Looking at the pharmaceutical industry, there's some certain particular challenges that this industry is faced with. If you take one, it's the growing population, and that we all grow older. And this means that we will have to make sure that medication comes out to the patient as soon as possible. Today, it can take all the way up to 10 years to develop a new medicine. And that's a long time. And we will be able to tell you how you can speed this process up. You are going from a lab environment and all the way down to manufacturing. It is important because one day delay in the availability of a certain medication can cost up to $1.5 million. So there's a lot of time to earn in this particular environment. And we at Siemens are able to combine the real and the digital world, looking at the product life cycle and the production life cycle. And by doing so, making sure that everyone involved in the development and in the production has access to the right data at the right moment in time to make that the best decision to build the best product and drive the best and most efficient production. To do a little deep dive in all of this, I got Todd with me who will talk about the enterprise recipe management, which is one of our solutions that supports the acceleration of the pharmaceutical industry. So what's all in this, Todd? How would you describe this to someone like me?
Well, thanks, Magnus. So first of all, you mentioned it. Probably the biggest driver of the time to market for new drugs, around 10 years, is due to inefficiencies both in research development, tech transfer, scale up, and in manufacturing. And really the inefficiencies of passing the data and the information from one business unit to another. They're all siloed, and more importantly, the data itself is siloed and not contextualized. So this leads to a lot of inefficiencies in actually transferring the information from one business unit to the other. So we have developed a new strategy called Enterprise Recipe Management, which bridges the gap between R&D and manufacturing by deploying a digital backbone where we can connect microservice applications into, including upfront in the R&D lab, where we actually develop the first real digital recipe in the lab. And by developing that recipe in the lab as a digitized, contextualized recipe, we can then move that recipe through the different stages of research, development, scale up, and into full-scale manufacturing directly and electronically, and therefore reducing the time to market of these new therapies.
So essentially, making sure that everybody involved has got the right data. You're collecting data, you analyze it, and use the data to continuously optimize the processes that we're working with. And that's throughout from the plant design and all the way through down to production.
Yes, it also includes, as you said, contextualizing the data. So one of the largest challenges that we see in R&D labs is that data is mostly held in like Excel files or Word files or ELN notes, various disparate forms of information that really can't be mined. It's data that's locked in a system that you can't pull out and contextualize. And if you can't contextualize it, then you can't make decisions upon it. And then you also can't turn it into a recipe to then fast track these new drugs to market.
There you go. So in the discrete industry, we often talk about the enterprise bill of process, which essentially enables us to produce the same type of product on various locations around the globe. We have different resources, different machines on those different locations, but our ability to work with this bill of process drives quality, efficiency, and everything we need to become an important player on the market. How would you say that is also utilized by the pharmaceutical industries today?
Our strategy is really based around the recipe itself. So we call the recipe that we develop in the lab our PD recipe. And then from the PD recipe, we then promote that up to our digital backbone. And then from there, we promote that recipe to a general recipe. And then a general recipe has the ability to be produced at any location, any manufacturing site, even a contract manufacturer. So we go through what's called a site capability check. So we take that, as you said, the bill of process, set of process action steps, and we find out where can we match that set of process action steps to equipment capabilities at different locations around the world. So we have an engine that does that along with an AI backend that helps us to determine where can we produce this general recipe. So it's exactly the same methodology.
And all of this is available on Siemens Xcelerator platform, our open digital business platform, where you have the software solutions, got automation solutions, you also have those ready-made ecosystem. And that's definitely also an enabler to transform companies to what we call sustainable digital enterprises. Now in the future, what do you see, how do you see AI coming in? How do you see new thinking coming in?
We've already are developing an AI, kind of a co-pilot for our lab digitalization, where it will actually help create the early process definition in the lab. So that will be AI driven. And then we're also using other elements of AI for the site capability check, also with understanding really patient outcomes, because we have to understand the patient safety and efficacy when the drug gets on the market, so that we can feed that data back into the product development cycle. So therefore, it's not only end-to-end, but it's also closed loop.
So collecting data, analyzing data, and utilizing data, that is how we continuously optimize both the product development and the production itself. Technology to transform the everyday for everyone.